David Moore, Dallas Morning News. We often ask you about a particular play in special teams, but was last night for this season as many plays across the board on what you're looking at as you've had this year?
Yeah, across the board. I think we had 31 snaps on special teams, which is more than the average for sure. So it felt like it too, even though there wasn't a lot of live action, kickoff returns. It still requires a lot of running. So it was some good action. We had, a couple punts, couple punt returns. So that was a lot of running for sure. And on a short week, we got to get our hamstrings back.
Michael Gilligan, Dallas Morning News. That was a pretty good angle that punter took to close off Turpin, but I was just curious what you saw from him and on that play and the whole unit, and maybe talk to Turk about just the way that ended.
Yeah, no, I had a really cool perspective because where I was standing was about the line of scrimmage, and when I saw the ball get punted, it was a left-footed punter, and the nose stayed up, so it started to drift short into Terp's left, which it was one of the highest level of difficulty catches I've seen a punt returner have to make without fair catching it. When the ball first went up, I thought, okay, it's going to hit the ground like the previous one, or he's going to have to fair catch it because it's short and left. And then Fat did a great job of clearing out their gunner, and he ran up underneath it and caught it and ran down the sideline. And he was running right down where I was standing, and I was like, I think we got a tightrope, and then he kind of got in and then got back out of Marquise Bell's block, and then the punter did a great job of kind of knifing it and cutting it off. But it was a real cool perspective, just even from a fan's perspective. The ball goes up in the lights in the night sky, and then the ball comes running right past me, and you see a whole bunch of splatter block in action, and it was a cool perspective just for that. It was an incredible catch by Terp. Even if he didn't return it, even to fair catch that ball and catch it was a high-level catch, and he can do it, man. He's pretty darn good.
Calvin Watkins, Dallas Morning News. Do you think they would do the onside kick, or you think when Gano got nicked up that they called it off?
Yeah, I was not anticipating them hitting an onside kick. For some different reasons I'll probably leave alone, but we're always prepared to go kickoff return, and if all of a sudden it looks like it's a hands team or they quick shift into something or the kicker takes a different alignment, we could call it timeout. But I figure with a one-score game, about 3.5, 4 minutes left in the game, they had timeouts, they'd kick it deep. And we knew Gano had hurt himself, wasn't sure what happened. And we thought, be ready for a bloop or a squib or some kind of, mortar kick. And he blasted him. Like, where did that come from? So we were prepared for all possibilities.
Mike, the way that as a special teams collective unit, you guys were able to finish the game between Terp's return, setting up the field goal to make it a 2-score game, and then Anger had the punt. Overall, what did you think about the way that you guys were able to contribute to a complimentary finish?
Yeah, I thought that the guys competed at a really high level. Our game plan was really simple. I mean, we got so many young guys out there. I counted it. We got 6 rookies on punt return, 4 guys that are second-year guys, and CJ leading the charge. So, we blocked a field goal. I think we got a field goal off of that. We had a good kickoff return, which statistically didn't look like anything, but it hit a nice bloop kick opposite their usual intended kick direction. And so we got out, and got us a good drive start going. I think we got a field goal out of that. Brian had another great punt later in the game that put him right on the sideline, and a couple that were right about the 10-yard line. So it felt like we contributed, in a way that wasn't anything that was spectacular, but just good, sound, solid football, and penalty-free in some of the return games. So for the young guys to go out there and compete in a noisy, stressful environment, I was very proud of their poise and their execution.
Hey, boss. Patrick Walker, DallasCowboys.com. You talk about a lot of youth on your special teams, and then you lose one of your veterans and Luke Gifford to a hamstring that popped up on Sunday. Yeah. What's his status going forward, specifically against the Commanders?
I haven't seen Gift today, but a couple of days before the game, it was just sore. There was no injury or anything like that, and we knew on a short week coming up this week in a healthy Jabril Cox, we said let's just make sure we don't lose Gift in the first quarter, and then we're down, a special teams linebacker, and there's not really a replacement for that. So just to be safe, let's go with Brillo, who's ready to go, and give Gift another week to see if he can get it back for this week. So I don't know what it'll look like this week, but I think Gift could have gone. We just didn't want to risk anything in that game or for this week coming up. So gifts a star for us, and Brillo stepped up in his place very well.
To elaborate on Jabril, for his first game back, coming off the ACL, how do you feel he did? He played pretty high volume for you.
Yeah, he did a great job. He played all 4 phases, took every snap, and we made note of it on Monday morning in our little special teams walkthrough the morning of the game. Just always acknowledge guys that are coming off injuries, and you spent the last 10 months of your life in the training room, and that's a huge mental barrier too. And so it's cool to see guys go through that, and they're back on the field, and we celebrated that Monday morning in our special teams meeting. And then, of course, when the game kicks off, it's football, but there was an acknowledgement of his work ethic to get back, and so that was really cool, and very happy for him.
Todd Archer with ESPN. When you block a field goal the way you guys did, is it a schemed up thing, or is it just Armstrong blowing up his guy, and then subsequently does that allow for other opportunities, because either in that game or going forward, because they're going to know, okay, this guy has this opportunity to do this, that maybe guys on the outside can make a play?
Yeah, there's a yin and yang part of it too. It was a field goal block call that we had on. It wasn't necessarily a blow him up block call, but Dorrance is really good at a particular skill, and we try to just look at a field goal team and not really scheme a field goal block, but try to identify a weakness, whether it's a man or a gap. And so we wanted to load up that first call right away, and not only Dorrance, but there's other pieces on that field goal block that did a great job to set it up. And, from Dorrance blocking the punt last year, anytime you can get somebody that knows how to block a punt or a kick, you want to try to put them in a position to do it again, because not everybody can do it. A lot of guys might get there, but they turn their head or they throw their hands too high or too low. So guys that for some reason have a knack doing it, we try to put them in a position to do it again. And that play call was highlighted for him to try to get through there, and he did it. And it was, a great play early in the game, and we talked about it on Saturday morning in our special teams meeting. So
It looked like CJ almost got one later off the other side.
Yep.
That's from a million feet away in the press box. And when you looked at it again, was he pretty close to it?
Pretty close.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what happens is you feel like you get a penetration inside, and so they kind of put the clamps down in the inside, and so, okay, now it's come off the outside. If you get it off the outside, now they got to maybe widen it a little bit. You try to get them on the inside, and those are the same things we battle on field goal protection is, where have we been a little bit leaky, and let's try to shore that up, all the while knowing, okay, well, this might expose this one just a little bit. So, it's that C and D gap on field goal and field goal block is a big one. It's a tough one.
How challenging do you feel your punt return makes it for opponents between the ability to block and your jammers on the outside, between Turk himself? There's a lot of dynamism there that you guys present.
Yeah, I think for myself, it's trying to, you got a lot of options. You got to try to rush it. You might be a little lighter in the blocking world, or you try to block them all up, but maybe you give the punter a little too much comfort. So, having guys like Dorrance and Sam Williams, we had Basham, some guys that pretty good rushers on punt return, and then you get some healthy blockers in there too. And so kind of to your field goal block question, you kind of just try to do, there's a lot of options, but to have the ability to rush, have the ability to return. If I was playing against us, there would be some things, if you shore the protection up, then maybe you're not emphasizing cover. And now you're focusing on Turpin, but we also got to protect. So I think probably every coordinator and every team tries to do that, and we're probably no different. But we got some really good ammunition on both ends of that.
Is that it?
Lastly, Brett Maher continues to be very steady.
Yeah.
This is your first experience with him, whereas others in the building remember him from his
Yep.
previous time. Your impressions from what you continue to see?
Outstanding pro. He fits in with Jake, our snapper, and Brian, our holder. I think they gain a lot of confidence from each other. I know Brett has gained a lot of confidence with the operation with Jake and Brian, and they communicate great, and they're all the same age, so they all kind of get the importance of being a pro. But being around Brett, he just seemed very poised, very confident. That 59-yarder, I wanted it for him. He wanted it so bad. He knew he had to start it out right because it was going to come back a little bit left with the wind. And he started it right down the middle, and right when he kicked it, he said, damn, hang in there. And it just was a little bit too far away, and I think he missed it by about a yard outside the left upright. But anyways, yeah, he's been fantastic, and I think he's going to have a great season the rest of the way.
All right. Great.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.